say. Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
It's time. It's time now. Not next season, not after this season, not tomorrow, although that would at least show the urgency that's needed. No, the time for action is now. Eastbourne gone, Newcastle up for sale, Swindon not at the starting gates this year, and who knows who else will not be at the starting gates next year. Birmingham and many others in trouble. If the powers that be don't sort themselves out, and if us as supporters don't start, well, supporting and talking in a positive way, then this fantastic and at times awe-inspiring sport will be lost. Then no Speedway. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Sorry to be so depressing. It must be because it's a Thursday.
I think the conversation needs to be had though, doesn't it? To
Yeah.
be honest.
Seems a bit weird doing it on Thursday, doesn't it? It's strange.
Not back in time.
Was that too dramatic, do you think? Or?
Nah,
No.
about right. About right. Quite good for you, that was actually.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
That's right. No problem.
Damned by faint praise once again. It seems strange feeling a little bit low after having a decent win against Paul last night. And any win against Paul's a decent win.
Yep.
I mean, I think we were a bit lucky, but I'll take it.
Make your own luck, don't you, I suppose, in a lot of respects.
I do. Yeah, well, we'll take it because Paul took it when they beat us, when they got, what was his name? I wasn't supposed to mention him. Greg Hancock. And we lost in the first heat, Danny King. Yeah, so they took it. As they should.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, so would you like to tell everybody how they can take part tonight?
Okay, so quite easy. You can go onto Facebook and search for Speedway Tavern, UK Speedway Tavern. You'll find us on there on all good Facebook groups and pages. And you can go on to YouTube, search for UK Speedway Tavern. And you can also go on Twitter. We're on there as well. And guess what it's called? UK Speedway Tavern.
There you go.
There you go. Join in. Or you can, if you really want to, you can phone in as well. So just message me during the broadcast.
Will somebody please phone in?
Please phone me.
He's desperate.
Phone me.
He's got this new...
Come on, Mr. Godfrey, phone in.
He's got this new toy to play with.
And no one wants to phone me.
Hey ho.
There you
Right.
go.
Have we got anybody?
Apart from Alan Peter Welsh, as I said, not depressing losing Newcastle. It's my club. I'm gutted.
Yeah, well, they haven't gone yet, have they? So, fingers crossed on that one. But what's the one thing? Okay, so I'm going to put this out to everybody out there. What is the one thing that Speedway should do to help this situation? What's the first most important thing that they should do?
It needs to listen for a start, because that's the big thing with Speedway for me over the years. It's sort of buried its head in the sand a little bit and just carried on regardless. I don't. My fear really is that when we get to the AGM, that people are going to say it was because of COVID. Now, COVID hasn't helped. Everyone knows that the situation,
absolutely.
but let's not pretend that Speedway was in a fantastic position before the pandemic, because it wasn't. Newcastle in particular, Newcastle have been struggling for quite a number of years now. Rob Grant and Dave Tatum obviously have made the decision that they're not going to be at Brough Park next season. I get the impression really that they didn't really look at the maths before they took the club on, to be honest.
Right.
I'm wondering to a point whether that's the case with the Masons as well, because Birmingham it's been an ongoing thing really with Birmingham, isn't it? We've seen concerns about crowd sizes and other factors as well. So then they need to start listening. Really a line needs to be drawn in the sand here, doesn't it? Because I think 21 years now. This millennium is 21 years old. So far, we've seen Oxford, Birmingham, Rothouse, and now Eastbourne not complete the season. They've had the results expunged now. Birmingham, obviously, we've got lucky because they got back the year later. Oxford, it looks quite promising now as to them being back in the sport next year, and if they are, we wish them all the success.
Absolutely.
Rothouse didn't close because of the pandemic, and it doesn't look particularly good for Rothouse seeing Speedway again. Eastbourne, obviously, that's still up in the air. I think there's a lot of problems that have been ongoing for quite some time down at Eastbourne in terms of their finances.
Reading between the lines at Eastbourne, it feels very much, given what has been said, and it is reading between the lines, and maybe it's 2 + 2 = 5. It feels very much as if the BSPL don't want them to come back, not Eastbourne, but those promoters.
Well, when the original statement came out, it just it didn't read very well, to be honest.
No.
I think there were a couple of punctuation mistakes in there and spelling mistakes in there, which it doesn't really put the BSPL in a very good light.
People pick up on that as well straight away.
Yeah. The big thing for me, other than start listening, is they need to start making this sport much more affordable for clubs to run, because you've seen, now this isn't a criticism of clubs like Leicester and Poole, but they're able to bring in stronger teams, and clubs like Eastbourne, maybe like Birmingham, like other clubs, are having to sort of try and keep up with that. And unfortunately, the cost of running Speedway has gone up, but the crowds haven't got up to be able to match it for a lot of these places. And it just needs looking into. It's needed sorting out for a long time, because Speedway is in danger really of backing itself into a corner here.
See, I agree with what you're saying about listening, although they've got to be careful about who they listen to, because there's some really odd ideas out there. But the problem, I think, the reason that they don't listen, or that some do and others don't, is that each one of these is its own individual business. And so they run it as their own individual business, because it is their own individual business. They put their own money in, and you can understand that. But this person's needs are not necessarily going to be the same as that, and this person's needs might not be compatible with the rest of. Do you see what I'm saying? You've just
encapsulated British Speedway's problem there in a nutshell, haven't you?
Yeah.
Self-interest.
Yeah.
Clubs are. And rightly as well, they're always going to have to go by what is good for their business. But if it's, I don't know. It's just I love the sport. I've been a Speedway fan all my life, but to be honest,
this sport's awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
I said it can be absolutely.
Well, I've got to be honest. Even if I was a very, very wealthy man, at the moment I wouldn't touch Speedway with a barge pole. To be honest. I think I put it on the BSF the other day. I think you may as well go out into your garden, light a fire, and spend the evening tossing £50 notes on it.
So so really then, from my point of view, there is only one answer to stop that self-interest, which is have a Suprema, which is something we've said for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Somebody that's not necessarily got his foot in a club, but has got his foot in all the clubs. If that makes sense.
Yeah, people keep talking about the Barry Hearn style figure. Bernie Eccleston, a ringmaster.
Yeah, a ringmaster. I like that. That would.
This is how we're running the sport, and this is the thing for me. When you go to that's the question a lot of people should ask. What do you want to see from it when you go to a Speedway meeting? What do you want to see now? I want to see good close racing. I want to see a genuine chance for riders to compete, and I want fairness.
And
it's not
accountability and clearness. That's not the right word, but
yeah,
the right word.
Clarity.
Clarity. There you go. That's the one.
He's learned a new word tonight.
Yeah.
Nothing's.
I learnt a few words earlier, but I can't tell you those. Anyway, shall we?
Let's get some comments. Yeah.
Good evening, Lawrence. Good evening, Elliot, Andrew, Duncan, Simon, John Bird. Alive. Tell you what, that's a big ping pong net you have between you.
He's talking about this.
Oh,
Matt's looking confused.
15, love.
He doesn't know what ping pong is. That's
Nah. Next year, one league, no doubling up, north and south. How do you think about that idea?
I certainly think the doubling up's just ridiculous. I mean, for me, I think the championship's got to be weakened. It's too close now to the Premier League, and they've weakened the National League. So they weaken the Championship. More of those riders that are at that level will then be able to feed into the Championship.
Well, the guy that I was standing with at Perry, I was having this discussion with someone at Perry Bar last night, and he said that the National League now is effectively a second half league, isn't it? Or it sort of seems to be geared towards that way, which is a shame because at one stage it was probably the one area of British Speedway that was
coming through now.
Yeah, absolutely. It has worked, but that seems to be stalling a little bit now, which is very unfortunate. Interesting what Simon says there about the one big league. Now, I can remember the one big league back in the 90s. It only run for 2 seasons, of course, and it was effectively run on the terms of the top league with the initial promise that the riders were going to be evenly spread out, and then that sort of got forgotten a little bit conveniently.
That sort of thing is not going to happen until you have a Suprema, until you have a ringmaster, because it's that same thing of but I want him, so you're not having him.
If you take into account, there's currently I did a few maths the other day actually about this now. My maths ain't brilliant, to be fair, so this might be completely. Looking at these scores, terrible. There's 19. If you take Eastbourne out at the moment, obviously, hopefully that'll change. I think there's 19 standalone clubs in the UK this season. That's including Mildenhall. Obviously, they're the only standalone club now in the National League. Now, I think to make that work, you would need about 133 riders. There's a shortfall because of doubling up, and doubling up's caused it. So you need to either promote a lot of riders that are probably not going to be ready, and then they're going to struggle in a much more competitive league than they may be used to, or you're going to have to reduce the number of riders in the team, 6-man teams, maybe even 5-man teams.
I could see a 6-man team, because then you still have room for somebody from National League to come up. I mean, you could have a situation where you have National League riders riding at reserve.
Yeah.
And then you only need 5 man. Then the rest of the thing is a 5-man team, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and then at least those reserves will be getting rides against better opposition, so they will learn, but also getting rides against opposition that's the same. Their job would be to win that reserves race.
There does seem to be a reluctance about the one big league, and people keep saying, it didn't work last time, but they're running out of options now.
Well, how many times have we said on this programme that just because something doesn't work the first time, you don't just give it up straight away.
Yeah.
You find out why it's not working and fix it. Because that's a thing that, I mean, let's look when they did the relegation, they did it for 1 year, and so it didn't work. Well, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because the gap was too big. It'd probably work at the current.
It probably
time.
would, to be honest.
It probably work, but nobody's interested in going up, so that wouldn't happen. So you have, if it doesn't work, you find out how you work out how to make it happen, rather than saying, "Oh well, that was a bad idea."
Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Quite a big one
Yeah,
here. Then,
okay.
okay, so this is John Bird. He says, "Listen to fans of a real reality check on the sport. Ain't COVID. What's it the sport? Because clubs struggle for a couple of years. GP riders have gone from league due to money and restrictions racing in different countries. So we are on a second grade of riders. With riders, clubs are charging money cost too high for level of sports. Even though my club, Wolves, have issued that. Basically, clubs need to have enough money to complete the season in the bank before, not a weekly budget to survive week to week."
I think you did really well reading that.
I know. I was making up my own full stops and stuff.
That is a fair point that John makes, actually, about the budget. Now, you budget for what you can afford in Speedway. Now, if you're getting crowds of about 800, don't budget for 1,500, because there's going to be a shortfall unless you promote the hell out of it and you can get more people in.
It is a bit of a catch-22 situation then, because if you budget for basically not as good a team, that's essentially what you get. If you say, well, I'm not going to pay more than that, you get the level of team that you pay for, which is set by other clubs.
In fairness, that's what Birmingham did in 2019. They built a team to a budget that they can afford. Now, okay, it was a team that struggled. It finished bottom of the league, but you can't. And nobody can deny that there was some very, very good racing at Perry Bar in 2019, and it was probably the most enjoyable season I've had watching Birmingham for a couple of years.
You have another season like that where you're finishing towards the bottom.
Yeah.
You start hemorrhaging fans, and that's the catch-22 situation, isn't it?
Yeah. Dunk says it's different times now, Matt. One league has to happen. Who wants to see a 6-team league? Make some decisions for 2022.
But again, the issue is, are there going to be enough riders to do one big league?
Well, they have to find a way to make them.
Because to me, at the moment, the current structure of 3 leagues is not working.
No,
it's not working.
No. And I mean, let's look at the positive sides of making one big league. Although it has to be done properly.
Yeah,
you can't have a situation where one team is so far ahead of the bottom team's got no chance of winning any matches because you don't. Who's going to go and watch that? It's got to be done properly. It's got to be done fairly, even-handedly. And there are different ways that they can do that. A draft being one of them.
Yeah, I think the draft is a good idea.
Yeah. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, the positive, but the positive thing about it is it in a stroke. What does it stop?
It stops doubling up, and it stops the problem of seeing the same teams and same riders week in, week out.
So you've got your riders in your team, and they're not riding for anybody else.
Yeah,
you don't wake up the next morning and find out Joe Bloggs has been riding for Peterborough and got injured.
Yeah,
you know.
Wasn't the Elite League a breakaway league formed by the BSPL?
Well, it would have been the BSPA.
Yeah, at the time, 97 it was when it became the Elite League. And that was the start of the three league format. I don't think it was effectively a breakaway, to be honest. I mean, as I say, the one big league. So many clubs, mainly the clubs that had been in the second tier, lost a lot of money that season. That's why they ended up really reviewing it and splitting the league up again. So, but I mean, the advantage at that time was that there was enough riders to make the one big league work. That's again,
Sky Sports was a big advantage as well, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, I've always said the biggest missed opportunity in Speedway in the last 25 years was when Sky started covering the Elite League back in '99, because they had a fantastic deal on the table. You had a much stronger league than it is now. I mean, during lockdown, I watched quite a number of meetings on YouTube from those first couple of years of the Elite League being on Sky, and you had some great racing, big crowds, fantastic atmosphere, and it felt like a sport that was really, really buzzing. Mark Ram, of course, won the World Championship in 2000, which I think benefited that as well. But ultimately, I think that some of the money from that Sky deal should have really been put aside to put into, giving the sport some proper infrastructure. But I think, unfortunately, it sort of went towards, cost of riders coming in.
While I agree with you that was a big opportunity lost, I mean, let me say this, which is sort of highlights the part of the opportunity that was lost. So when Birmingham packed up in 1980, whatever it was,
6 was it?
I think it's somewhere around about that. I was lost to Speedway. I did not know that Speedway was on Sky Sports. I did not know any about that. There was I saw no advertising, no anything that told me about, and I would have been, if I'd have seen it, I would have been there. Because, I missed my Speedway. Now, for somebody that actually loves Speedway, doesn't know, how's anybody else going to find it?
Those were really the days when there were people who had Sky and there were people who didn't have Sky, wasn't it? You know what I mean? It was sort of...
Yeah, but I would, I probably would have said... I mean, I had cable, so I could have had Sky, but I didn't know it was... I didn't know it was there. I didn't know they were showing meetings. But I do disagree with you in one sense that it's not the biggest opportunity that we missed. You got to go back further.
Well, I did. In my defence.
You wasn't under attack.
I did say in the last 25 years.
Oh, okay.
So
fair enough. But if you go back further to when we had crowds equivalent to football crowds,
in Mike's day,
that's when they should have gone. We got something here. We need to do it properly. But they didn't. They carried on with this way of working that we've still got with us now, and I think that was the biggest opportunity missed. If I'm honest, we was having regular TV appearances. The Speedway was part of people knew about.
Was it not the Sunday Mirror that's Sunday Mirror's investigation that probably put a pay to that a little bit?
Possibly,
yeah.
But that's what I mean, though. Yeah. That's the option. That's what I'm. That they didn't go right. Let's sort this sport out properly. Sky was also the instigators of the rubbish idea of double points as well. That's when I stopped going. Well, I hope you're coming back because they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's actually made me think as well. We've got the premier event in the BSBL is the British Final. Why is that on a Monday?
Well, I think you know the answer to that, don't you?
TV want it on a Monday, but that meeting needs to be a weekend meeting. It's got a potential to be a we've said before, and we Speedo misses its big day out. That'd be an ideal meeting. Saturday you could have a fan zone in Manchester. I mean, Manchester's a great city to go to. There's it's relatively central in the country. And you could really promote something there, and of course you've got a fabulous venue in Bellevue with a brilliant racetrack. Some of the racing at the British Final in the last few years, particularly since it's gone to Bellevue, has been superb. But you stick it on a Monday night, and it's it sort of takes the gloss off it.
I think also one of the big problems that Speedway has got, which is not of its own making, is that people don't work 9 to 5 anymore.
No, that's very true. Right, That's very true.
Yeah.
And particularly when you
and viewing habits have changed as well, where it seems to be more catch up, isn't it? Nobody sits around the telly and as a family anymore and watches a.
But that should be to sports advantage, because you don't stop in to watch something that you don't want to miss.
No, I agree. unfortunately.
Why did they stop the unlimited tactical substitute when 6 behind? Well, it was never unlimited. Because you could only have ever have had 7 tactical substitutes, because you're only allowed 1 per rider. And
Yeah.
obviously, if you've got riders that are not doing very well, so much so that they have to be tack subbed, you're not going to be using those riders to tack sub somebody that's
Not doing,
that's
doing better, are they?
than
So,
them.
yeah.
So it was never really unlimited.
No.
I don't know the answer to that. I've always liked the tax sub rule, but I would make, and I've said this so many times, I would make one sort of change to it.
Only the away team can use it.
Only the away team can use it. That would be my, because that we keep getting accused of being a Mickey Mouse sport, mainly by our own supporters.
Yeah.
It has to be said. Because if you go and ask some of the guys that watched, quite a good match, racing wasn't brilliant, but from a score point of view, it kept you interested last night. Any new people there, they wouldn't have been going on about that. They'd have just been going on about, I enjoyed watching 4 riders racing.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe
they
it's
wouldn't
just-
have called it Mickey Mouse sport.
Yeah, maybe it's just an age thing. I mean, I don't know whether you were the same, but you know, when you were younger, you just enjoyed watching the
Just
racing, didn't you?
loved it,
You didn't worry about rules and what people were doing as promoters
and
things like
getting
that, so.
involved in the banter with the away supporters that sometimes crossed the line when Cradley visited, or Wolverhampton were usually quite well behaved.
Utopia. Let's talk about a utopia. Utopia would be if all promoters formed a national consortium with all income, sponsorship, etc., going into a central pot, and all payment of riders also be made from the same central pot. I know this is a pie in the sky and will never happen, but if only, says Brian Booker.
Well, first of all, Brian, I didn't realise that you was a communist.
Dear me.
I think he's pretty much socialist, but probably not communist.
It's an idea. I can still see problems with it, though. I can still see arguments, because I can also see. You imagine if you're Matt Ford and you want to spend money, but you're somebody at Newcastle who's thinking, well, I don't need to worry about it, because I'm still going to get the same amount back, so I don't really need to promote it, because I'm coming from a much bigger pot. That's the possible. So I guess there would have to be checks and balances in it to stop that from happening.
I'm from Poland, but but for the last 17 years I've been living in England. Speedway is my favourite sport. I used to go to watch Country Bees. Yes, I remember them. One thing I've noticed is the age of fans. With all respect, most of them older people, not many youngsters. Most of them are older people. I've lost that now.
Not many youngsters, families with children.
Yep.
You need to attract people to become new fans. That's where money are in tickets.
They certainly are.
That's been a problem with a lot of places, isn't it? Birmingham, without being too mean, the majority of the people that come to the turnstiles at Birmingham are paying pensioners' rates, aren't they? So that's just a fact. That's just I know that the Masons. I mean, this is one area I think the Masons have got to be applauded in. They have done a lot to try and bring younger fans in, and I think they are starting to do that.
It's started to happen, hasn't
But
it?
a lot
You
more.
feel.
They need. It's a long way down the road from cracking that, to be honest.
But the thing about that, of course, is that it should be something that is nationwide, not just done in Birmingham, not just done at the Isle of Wight, which isn't even in the BSPL at the moment.
Yeah.
It's something that should be done nationwide, and it should be almost a remit of the. This is where a Supremo would come in, isn't it? And say, right, fine, you're doing this, you're doing that, but everybody's got to. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
everybody to be a part of this league. To be a part of this league, you have got to find a way of attracting children into your sport. You've got to do what Birmingham do with track walks and games and stuff on the centre green and so on. Or have you got another idea that's even better? Maybe have a little cycle speedway track on the inside. You know, some tracks wouldn't be able to do that, but some tracks would be able to do that.
This is where the Isle of Wight for me have got to be applauded, because they've tried to do things, some things that are different.
And Birmingham have done as well. I don't know, is there any other club that's doing it? Are those actually the only two clubs? I don't know, because I haven't been to any. Obviously, there's this thing called COVID.
I'm not sure.
Is anybody else doing it? And if they're not, why not? Do they do it at Bellevue? You've been to Bellevue?
I don't know, to be honest. Do
they do it at Wolverhampton?
They do it occasionally, but it's not a regular thing. So, to be honest,
so if you turn up, you're not going to know whether you go. It has to be a regular thing, doesn't it? Otherwise, it's not going to attract people. It's mad. Yeah. It's mad that they don't do this. You go to some indoor motocross, and the way they promote that, lots of younger faces there. You ain't telling me that indoor motocross is better than Speedway. I'm not having it.
No.
I'm not having it at all. But the crowds are massive.
But they go out and pitch
Monster
to people, don't
trucks,
they?
for God's sake. Come on. Monster trucks.
Well, I've got to be honest, I don't particularly like stock car racing, but that gets bigger crowds than Speedway. Admittedly, the running costs are a lot lower.
And also they don't run every week.
No, that's very true.
So,
This probably dispels the communist slur. Why do we want foreign riders to ride here? All they do is push up costs without bringing in an increase in crowds, says Brian.
Well, the second tier did predominantly used to be a British Riders' League, didn't it? And then a couple of clubs started bringing in overseas riders.
British and Commonwealth.
Yeah, and then it suddenly just...
Well, then the European Union happened, and we couldn't restrict them by law. I think there's something to be said for if we do carry on with 3 leagues, or 2 leagues, or wherever they decide. There is something to be said that the second tier should be British only.
Yeah, certainly the National League.
Then you do hit up against a problem. Number of riders.
Yep, again.
John Bird wants the big meetings back, the big British meetings, the overseas final, pairs, 4-team tournament. When money goes into the BSPA, also every club should host an individual meeting, which helps out their own club.
I remember when the 4-team tournament used to be in the top league, to be honest, because we always used to be in the same group as Cradley, Bellevue and Bradford, and those meetings used to get really good crowds. You know, and it was something different as well. That's another thing as well. Variety of meetings now. There seems to be a common thing among the promoters that fans only want to see league meetings. Which is, generally the reason that individuals don't get great crowds is because they're right at the end of the season when there's basically fixture fillers when they just try and scrabble a lineup together.
Couple of things to say about it. Can you leave that one where I can see it? Okay, so bring back the overseas final. Well, that was a World Championship thing. It
was still a World Championship qualifier in the start of the Grand Prix era, to be fair.
Was it?
I think it stopped about 2003, I think so.
So I think we have to also understand that this year is different. So we wouldn't have had things like pairs and 4-teams tournaments and so on because we've had a shortened season for obvious reasons.
The British Championship used to have quarterfinals in the British Championship, didn't you? And every track used to have a qualifying round. But whereas
every British rider would
unfortunately now, of course, you're in a situation where you have to put 16 riders straight into the final because you've not got enough to even justify having semi-finals anymore.
Every club should host an individual meeting. The problem with that is people don't go to them. From my experience at Birmingham, when we've had open meetings, some people say, well, that's down to the quality of guests, but then that's
a decent field. They'll go.
Yeah,
for me,
maybe. But then you're taking one hell of a gamble because a decent field costs a lot of money.
Yeah. You've got to have some home interest. You've certainly got to have some home interest in the meeting. Definitely. There's no good having an individual meeting at Birmingham if there's no Birmingham riders in it. So.
I don't. Surely, if the quality of the riders, I think if they're stars, surely people would come whether they rode for Birmingham or.
They would have to be real big stuff. I mean, I remember when Coventry came to Birmingham with Emil.
Oh yeah, that was a massive crowd, wasn't it?
Massive crowd. So that sort of showed you. But if Emil Saifutinov had stayed, would those crowds have stayed at that level? Oh, we've seen him now. It was okay. He was spectacular.
Yeah.
I think that would be a go up yourself.
I see the problem. So this is going back to the original problem, isn't it? The problem is you're asking a individual promoter with his own money to make a big gamble.
Yeah.
And in the current climate, that ain't going to happen.
No, not in the current one. No.
This is again why you need somebody
An outside.
in charge.
Yeah.
Saying that this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
There's this much that we're going to have for promoting the sport.
Yeah.
There's going to be this much for,
Another thing that I'd like to say, and I don't think anybody would disagree with this. I think if they change regulations, explain why you've done it. Don't just sort of do it in secrecy.
Clarity.
We've made a change to the rule.
Yeah.
This is why. It's not hard, is it? So some people might not like the reasons, but at least then you'll have explained it to them, not just do it in secrecy and hope that they don't notice. I mean, Dave Rowe was explaining one of the rules about why the pool team was different to the one in the programme. I don't know how he kept a straight face when he was doing it, to be honest, because it just...
Yes. That was interesting.
Our place at Glasgow sold out nearly every meeting, says Richard Hill.
Well,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Glasgow promote well, don't they?
Yeah,
That's,
Congratulations.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
if one club can promote well, why can't other clubs follow or learn from?
we just worry that there seems to be an element of we just throw open the gates and hope people come in with Speedway, don't they? So.
I mean, the other way around this, I guess. I mean, when I said congratulations, I meant it.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
I wasn't being facetious. I've learnt a new word.
He was.
And what you said is about why don't others learn from it is a good point. I mean, they might say that, Glasgow's got a millionaire owner that can afford to take that gamble, and that is that problem again.
Yeah.
So another way around this situation where you haven't got a supremo is that when they have their annual meeting and their AGM, and there's several AGMs that I seem to have now, it's surely easy to have a vote and say, right, this is the points limit we're working to, this is that rule change that we want to make, blah blah blah, and get that out of the way, and then the rest of it should be talking about, right, what are we going to do to promote our sport,
get more people into the gates,
and then make it a rule of being a member of whichever league it is, that okay, you're a member of the elite league, you've got to promote to kids, and you've got to show us how you're promoting to the kids. So you've got to do the things like that Birmingham are doing, for instance, that the Isle of Wight are doing, that other teams, if they might have a different way, but you've got to do it. It's got to be shown to be done, to be a part of the league, and if you don't do it, you get a fine, sort of job. Things to make people go the right direction.
Yeah.
Because I just don't understand why we're not promoting to kids.
No. Yeah.
Kids love this sport when they see it.
Yeah.
They absolutely love it.
How about some sort of like...
We was all introduced to it as kids, and we all, I bet, as a man, we all went,
wow.
Bah.
Yeah. Yeah. How about, I mean, shoot me down. How about some sort of like road show? Like an all-star team is continually,
You're talking about Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, I'm thinking on the Harlem Globetrotters theme. Yeah,
there was
somebody to promote it. They continuously going round.
Several years ago, they did have a fair, a speedway fair in. I can't remember what the name of the place was. It was over in Warwickshire somewhere. I can't remember the name of the place now. Which ran for 2 or 3 years, and I think every club had at a sort of a campus there, whether they could, sort of reach out and promote. I don't know why that stopped, to be honest. I don't know whether it was because of access to the site. I can't remember the name of the place now. I know it was in Warwickshire. But something like that, really. Just again, think outside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel very. I think we're all feeling very quite low about Speedway at the moment. Not about it.
Stoneleigh.
as a sport.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Yeah. So,
Stoneleigh.
Yes, that's what it was. It's Warwickshire. It's not. I don't think it's too far from Coventry, to be honest. It's not in Coventry, but I think it's.
But so let's have a little bit of positivity. Would you like to read Dennis John Upshon's?
Dennis John Upshon. Hi, I started to go back to...
That's a proper name, by the way.
Yeah. Back to meetings at Poole Pirates Stadium. I went to the Poole Pirates versus Newcastle, first time since the 1970s. My friend's 12-year-old boy loves Speedway, and he saw his first Speedway match, and he loved it. The prices were very good. I'm thinking about going tomorrow night. Poole versus Glasgow.
Right. Well, that's.
Yep, that's what we need.
People do still go to watch the sport for the first time and fall in love with it, don't they?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
but you got to.
And then they talk to the sporter next to him and goes, "Oh yeah, but tactical subs." Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where Speedway fans need to play their part as well. To be honest, we all have our little moans and groans about the sport. In fairness,
Or they think, "Oh, this is good. What can I find online? Oh, BSF. Let's have a look at the moan."
and most of them are your posts as well. So
I just want to slit your throat.
And I'm sure that happens in other sports.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it happens in football.
Of course,
for instance.
yeah.
Unfortunately, they can afford to do that because it's all over the television. It's all over the thing. It's
Also, I think that with football, it's more ingrained that you do get bad games, whereas a bad meeting it's a bad meeting, isn't it? Speedway. It's not part and parcel like a football match.
But with Speedway, of course, you'll get a bad race, but there's a possibility that in 60 seconds you'll get a great race.
Well, look at last night's meeting. This is where we get 3 bites of the cherry, isn't it? So last night's meeting, the racing got better towards the end. We had some good races towards the end, but the racing by and large
was boring, to be honest.
It was a bit follow my leader.
Yeah, so.
But the interest was in the score. It was close. It was very close.
Yeah.
And so that kept that. So there were different bites of the cherry. Speedway's since such a great sport.
Yeah. It just needs somebody to get hold of it and tell people.
And tell the BSBL.
Yeah.
Really, so.
Yeah, we've got more positivity here.
Yep.
Do you want to read Lawrence's?
Lawrence, we have had quite a few newcomers recently who loved it and have come back. The winners of the one-stop shopping centre competition for a family ticket have become regulars. And that's it. We get them in.
Yeah.
So there was I didn't realise there was a one-shop shopping centre competition.
Yeah.
That is difficult to start.
I was quite good there, actually. When I was
What
a
a great way of promoting the sport.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
Do it again.
Yes.
Do it again. It worked. Do it again. And do it again.
When I was a kid in Leicester, the Corporation Bus Company had a simple, approximately 400 by 200 millimetre sign on each bus every week advertising the forthcoming Leicester Lions versus whoever in the British League match. I think the Brummies used to, a regular, in the Evening Mail, it was a regular thing on the back page, wasn't it, at one stage in the 70s, 80s.
Probably nobody reads newspapers anymore.
No, that's true. Yeah.
And also, I mean, I've got to big up my own club here because it's the only club I've got.
Yeah.
I think our social media presence is really good now.
Yeah, they have improved that. I think, fairness, I think Wolverhampton have as well, to be honest. I think quite a few clubs have now sort of the pennies dropped really with social media that they can actually use it to reach out to people.
I don't see many Facebook boosted posts for Speedway, to be honest, which is quite easy to do. I mean, I do that for my company. I mean, it costs about £5 to get out to about 3,000 or 4,000 people.
Oh, you need to have a word with
Lawrence.
people, Lawrence.
Yeah.
I should employ
I'll sort that
you.
out for you.
I should employ you.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Lawrence says we are doing it again.
Good one.
Ooh.
So, there you
Well, I
go.
should see a doctor about that.
And the bus company thing, the cost is high for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it is, yeah. I can
Do you know, I've
imagine
seen
it is.
Leicester fans who've said that, for all the success they had in 2019, they've seen very little in the means of Leicester publicising it.
Mm.
So, again, which is disappointing if that's the case.
Yeah.
I like how we all laughed simultaneously at that one, didn't we? So,
Just for those who don't understand why we just laugh, Lawrence Rogers has just come back up with employ.
He knows I'd do it for free.
For free?
Of course I would.
not for two, for free.
A bag of wasabi, please.
Yeah.
I'm easy.
Yeah, I had heard that. I'm looking at the time. If we're going to
Quickly, yeah, we'll have to quickly get this whole get the competition moving, won't we?
Okay, yep.
So,
Now, first of all, apologies that the results for yesterday aren't on there, so I haven't had a chance to put an update there. So I will update those as soon as I can. And
He
upload
got
them
too
in the table.
excited during the Brummies pool match. That's what it was.
yeah. So you need to just explain this. The tables have just gone up now, Matt, because then they're only up to when?
They are up to Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay.
There
so
might, there might even be a match from Tuesday missing, to be honest. But
right. Okay. Okay. Well, they can see a bigger version of that.
Yeah.
Don't worry. So,
and by the way, if anybody's wondering about those numbers at the side, that's where those people finished in the 2019. I usually take those off, but I forgot to put them on. I forgot to take them off this time. So
it's well sophisticated.
yeah, so I think Ben's defence is looking a bit ropey at the moment, isn't it? So
Yes.
he's,
You did start late, though, didn't
yes,
Yeah.
So
you? Start late.
And I'm still in 7th place, even though I'm absolutely useless. I'm only one behind Mike.
yeah.
I didn't mean it
Got to
like
say as
that.
well, you look at the Ken Birmingham.
Yes, you did.
I know, I did.
You got to say as well, looking at that Ken Birmingham meeting, I think I can remember a meeting where so many people have got that score right. I mean,
I'm not proud of that.
5 people had that one right, didn't they?
I'm
So.
not proud of that. So I'm just wondering. Everybody knows how to join in with this thing.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
We can give our scores later.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Because this is all.
I haven't got
This is all going off, isn't it?
Yeah.
By the way, we have got some matches on tonight, haven't we? So we should have a quick look at those. There's 2 matches in the Premiership taking on Ipswich and Peterborough, of course. The East Anglican derby.
Do you need the fixtures up, Michael?
Yes. Well, are we going to do that, or are we going to just crack on and
Okay,
do
we'll
that
crack.
afterwards?
We'll crack on. And
Yeah,
we'll
current score at Ipswich, by the way, is 24-36 in favour of the
Peterborough Panthers.
Yep, again Ipswich. So again, Peterborough. Sorry, again looking very, very strong away, and they've got Leon Flynn guesting them for tonight. I notice as well, of course, for Jordan Palin.
He did well for Wolverhampton the other day.
He's riding really well at the moment. I've got to say, Leon. He was certainly quick enough on Monday in the TV meeting, but it's sort of and rode very, very well at Bellevue in the morning as well. And the other meeting is
32-28.
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
In the War of the Roses, is it?
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, War of the Roses, Lancashire v Yorkshire.
Of course. 32-28 to Sheffield.
Yep.
And that's a fairly close match, isn't
Last
it?
one, yeah. So
Brian Taylor talking to Dennis John Upshon. You talk about pensioners? No, when I was your age, I went to the chariot races.
Lawrence Rogers is so pleased to have 1 point.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, so what we've decided to do is we're not going to go through all the matches and give our scores. We will do that.
Yeah.
If we put up the
We'll
matches
do it afterwards. It's just that the shout box is going off and off and off. We don't want
We'll just rush it, won't we, as well?
yeah.
So.
Yeah, we don't want to stop the conversation.
Yeah, Duncan, it's not too late to. It's not too late to join. You can join now.
Yes.
It's only a bit of fun.
It's only a bit of fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you come right at the bottom. There's a special price for them.
I tell you what it
Lawrence.
does do doing this. It gives you an interest in the matches as you go through the week. And
Special prize, Lawrence, from going at the bottom. Yeah.
special prize, was it?
So
So
do
he's
I-
digging to King's Lynn, is it, sir?
Do I really need? Do you think I need to get the T-shirt ready for?
Well,
our runaway leader at the top.
Well, you got to miss it
He
first,
comes-
have you? So,
he comes from Cradley, doesn't he?
Oh,
you
so
probably-
it'd be extra large.
so
Yeah,
you
the
need-
big one, quite big. Very big. Have you ever met him?
No.
Oh, thank God for that. You don't know him at all. No, you don't live very close to see. Good stuff. Good stuff. You ought to be a team manager.
Who's that to?
I was talking to
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Yeah,
Lawrence.
yeah. I think he could do that actually if he works at it.
Well, just don't get him anywhere near the electrics.
ooh, you have to go there, didn't you?
Oh,
dear, oh dear.
He'll be waiting for you next week.
I think
No.
getting.
Simon Corbett's from Evesham.
Phew! That's miles from here.
Yeah, he doesn't know where here is anyway.
No, that's right. Smethwick.
Yeah. You were from Smithy.
From Smethwick. Yeah. I think getting local to club, social media influences to advise come along would help get new punters in. I know what he means.
Do you know that's a good point actually. We don't. There are influencers all over. We don't. We've never used influencers. There's got to be a way of doing that.
Yeah.
Got me thinking now. I'll have a think.
no.
About it.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah. I think what about there must be some celebrity Speedway fans. We talked about this a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yes. Now
We did.
right there you go.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there must be a few of them around. I'm sure they can do something.
Well, John McGuinness,
John
isn't he?
McGuinness,
John
of
McGuinness, he's a
course.
massive
Yeah,
Speedo fan. Big mates with Ty Woofington as well.
Yeah, there you go. If they come here, I'll do a little promo for them.
Mark, what's his face?
Mark Webber.
Mark Webber.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a few. It's my prize then, says Lawrence.
You're welcome to it.
Right, now we need to tell people next week there isn't a show next week because I'm having my annual holiday.
Okay.
Right, okay. But we are here the week after. Back
Okay.
to our regular slot, Tuesday, 8 p.m.
Are we going to get people to put in their scores next Tuesday anyway for the
can do.
weekend?
Shall we? Yeah, do it, yeah. If you got- yeah,
I'll
you-
put the scores up
yeah.
on Tuesday for the week's
Yeah.
ratings, and we'll.
It would really help people. This is not a plug, but it would really help people if they can join the group that we're on, the Speedway Tavern group.
Yeah.
And then if they're all together, then it makes it a lot easier for Matt and that, like, because he's getting on a bit. So.
Apparently, Robert Plant used to go to Cradley.
Yes, he did. Yes,
I-
he did,
now,
yeah.
I'd love to. If I'd have known that, I would have gone and supported Cradley.
Yeah.
What?
What about old Gary Newbon that lives there?
Tony Butler used to as well.
Isn't Gary Newbon still a Speedway fan? Or
I don't know,
used
to be
be,
honest.
didn't he?
Don't know.
Tony Butler's still about, isn't he? I don't think
Yes,
he's in very good health at the moment.
No, I
but-
don't think he's. I don't think he's compass mentis at the moment, but
Yeah.
he's still around though. Still around.
Alan Peter Welsh has come up with it. See, now there's ideas coming up.
Yeah. It's like a think tank, isn't it?
TikTok videos of Speedway. Seeing a TikTok live of MotoGP in Kent at weekend seems to get loads of interest.
Mm.
I think Birmingham have been doing little short bits at the end of
Yeah.
matches.
TikTok,
and
yeah.
stuff,
Oh yeah.
and stuff.
TikTok's fantastic. Yeah, there is one of me with 100,000 views.
No way. What was you doing?
I'm not telling you.
You was keeping
My
your
daughter
clothes
took
on.
it, my
You was
daughter-
keeping your clothes on.
My daughter took it. Yeah. If you search for Laura Brown on TikTok, you'll see it. Yeah. There's a couple of 50,000 ones as well. So.
Most of the views were yourself, though, weren't they? So.
Was you falling over or something?
She's taking the mickey out of my office.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So there you go. That's a few good ideas that have come through.
All right, we're going to get Robert Plant on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, for God.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Robert Plant come on the show, I wouldn't turn into a piece of jelly.
Be nice to have him in here, wouldn't it? Yeah. That'd be good. That'd be really good. We have all the stars here.
He's in California at the moment, so
Oh, okay. That's no excuse. We've got Zoom.
yes, we have.
Yep.
Yeah, and it even works sometimes.
As we found.
Lawrence Rogers says our social media man has been using TikTok. Yeah, I've seen some of those actually.
Brilliant.
And,
Brilliant. Yeah. And that's what we need to. That's what we need to do. So no show next week, and a show. But the show we're back on Tuesday after.
who's Birmingham playing against next week, Lawrence? I can't remember. It's
It's red car, isn't it?
Red Cardigan. Okay. So yeah.
Well, that's interesting what Dave Twine's put on there. Jeff Stelling was at the Bellevue Walls, wasn't he? The other month.
Told my mate it was his first Speedway match.
Okay.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Who's Jeff Stelling?
So I was going to ask, but I didn't want to say it.
Who's he played for?
It's the presenter of Soccer Saturday on Sky.
Oh, I never watch it. I haven't got Sky. I'm too poor. I'm too poor for.
He hasn't got a football team.
Well, we know that.
Red Car be a good meeting.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of good matches against those, and of course they'll look at our track and go, "Well, this isn't the track we raced on last time."
I'm sure they were keeping a close look on the updates from last night's meeting, weren't they? So,
Yeah.
So we've really put the world to right this evening.
Well,
I thought you were going to say we put the boot in then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we've done all of that, haven't
Yeah.
we? But it's from love.
So because we care so much about the sport.
Love.
It's such a shame there's so much gloom about, but I'm guessing it's not just of these times. I'm guessing it's from years and years ago. People have always moaned.
So I think before I go, what I want to say most is that we as supporters can't control the decisions that people like the BSPL make and so on. And we, as almost to a man, can see what's going wrong, and we have our own ways of thinking this is the way it can be sorted out. But the most important thing that we can do, turn up to the matches.
Yeah.
I agree.
And what's going to be the last thing I was going to say, but I want
Just echoing what Lawrence has said there.
exactly. That's
Best wishes to
best wishes
Stephen
to
Nielsen. It was a horrible
Stephen
crash.
Nielsen. It wasn't nice at all. And I should probably, and I'm bad. I should have mentioned it right at the start of the programme. But there you go. I was too busy being doom and gloom. So yeah, get well soon, Stefan. That's it for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Put your scores on, please, tonight, or before the matches, even, because you don't care. And where have I got to put them? On the Facebook page, isn't it?
On the group, not the page.
On the
Go
group.
onto the group. We've got a group. Chat group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
UK Speedway Tavern group. There you go.
And Lawrence is suggesting, I'm sorry, this is just going off. They're going to put out a form for fans to put down their ideas.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
There you go. Fantastic.
Pardon the pun.
We will see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.